The Wheeling Plan Commission meeting for Thursday, December 7th, 2017 is called to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Secretary, please take the roll.
Commissioner Blanova. Commissioner Creech.
Present.
Commissioner Dorban.
I'm here.
Commissioner Powers is here. Commissioner Johnson and Commissioner Kalis are absent with prior notice, and Chairman Rafato.
Here. Brooke, any changes to the agenda?
We do have some changes. Under items for review, letters B, C, and D, they are all related to the Town Center project. Each of these, excuse me, staff received submittals for these projects that came in late. There were some inconsistencies, and so we had some concerns with this. And for that reason, staff is recommending that each of the special uses associated with these dockets be continued to a later date, and that the item related to site plan and appearance review be tabled.
Thank you. Citizen concerns and comments. Mr. Secretary.
Citizens' concerns and comments. Members of the general public may address the Plan Commission with concerns or comments regarding issues relevant to the Plan Commission's agenda or topics that the Plan Commission has the authority pursuant to the Village Code to address. The chairperson or his or her designee shall strictly restrain comments to matters that are relevant to the Plan Commission's business and shall not permit repetitious comments or arguments. Members of the general public who wish to address the Plan Commission must sign the request to speak from the form prior to the commencement of the public meeting. The person submitting a petition, concern, or other comment shall be allotted 5 minutes to present their points.
Thank you. Do we have anybody on the list today?
Yes, we do. We have Mr. Stylen.
Mr. Stylen, you will have 5 minutes.
Is that all?
Yes, sir.
Terry Stylen, 473 Briarwood Drive, Wheeling, Illinois. Wear a couple hats this evening. I happen to be president of the Wheeling Historical Society, and I'd just like to remind the citizens of the village that Lollipop Lane is in effect right now through this Sunday. It's open today and tomorrow from 6 to 8 p.m. and on Saturday and Sunday from 2 to 5 p.m. So if you'd like a free picture with Santa, bring your kids, bring your grandkids, bring your great-grandkids, come on in and join the crowd, have a wonderful time. And as always, there's no charge for anything that we do. My second hat is as a former plan commissioner for some of the new people on the dais. I spent some 30-some-odd years here with a lot of my friends. I'm going to go through a little bit of history, and I'm not sure who has seniority, but between Pam and Jim and Don, they'll be able to pick up on some of my commentary. And again, it's more of a history orientation. A long, long, long time ago, we're probably back 30 years ago, the Plan Commission didn't do recommendations, they didn't do requirements, they didn't do conditions. They just said, this is what we want, and you will update the plans to get it done. And the plans back then were about this wide by about this wide, and everything had to come before the commission on those humongous sheets, and they were updated. Sometimes they were updated where we sat, got initials of the petitioner on the plans. Over time, that got to be, quote, a little business unfriendly because it took them a long time to redo the plans. So we decided to start making recommendations. And the recommendations were okay, but after about a year, we kind of discovered that all the recommendations that we made, nothing was ever done with them. We went and looked at the minutes of the meetings, and a lot of times, the recommendations that we made weren't even, you weren't here. The recommendations weren't even in the minutes of the meeting. So we changed course over time and started doing requirements. We mandated that the requirements be documented in the minutes. Unfortunately, we found out along the way that requirements, even though they're in the minutes of the meeting and the petitioner says, yeah, I will do it, we found out that the requirements were not enforceable. It was just kind of an agreement between the Plan Commission and the petitioner, and the village board really had nothing to do with it. They didn't enact it into any laws or anything. It was just a requirement that went nowhere. Somewhere along the line, we came up with this idea of signing the requirements. And you notice today, the petitioner has to sign the requirement in the hopes that he's now signed something that he agrees to a requirement. Well, that wasn't too enforceable either, because it was, again, an agreement between us and the village board was kind of outside of that scope. We then moved on through the recommendation of Mr. Ferrillo, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that we should do conditions, and the conditions should be made part of the ordinance, submitted to the village board as part of the ordinance. We have our signature, so the petitioner is well aware, and they should be a lot more enforceable, because now if the village board doesn't want to do it, they just scratch it off the ordinance. It was very difficult for them if they wanted to add something, and that's why they never did it. If you want to add a condition or a requirement to the ordinance, it required some written stuff to be added, and that was too difficult.
Mr. Simon, that was 5 minutes.
Alrighty.
I will give you 2 more minutes, Mr. Simon.
Well, I'm at the end. I mean, the point is that it took 30 years to come up with this system that works, and I understand last week you had some discussion on the possibility of getting away from conditions and all that, and I just wanted to let you know, I think many of you were here during piece of that.
Right.
And keep it in mind, right? Discuss it when the appropriate time needs to be discussed. So that's all I have. Thank you very much for your time. I do appreciate it.
Thank you. And we'll address that in other business.
Oh, okay.
Yep, we definitely will, Terry. Thank you. Is there anybody else?
No, Mr. Chairman.
If you would have written that pencil, we could have reused that sheet, but that's okay. Calling docket number PC 17-20, Allstate, 100 East Palatine Road, minor site plan and appearance approval of a canopy. Oh, jeez Louise, I'm sorry. It's the first time we've had somebody talking, that we went through the formal process. I forgot all the consent items. Wow. Consent items, docket number SCBA 17-45, Hawk Research Labs, 7150 Capitol Drive, appearance approval of a wall sign. Please. Docket number SCBA 17-46, Promise and Fulfillment Church, 5260 through 6300 Capitol Drive, appearance approval of wall signs. And lastly, docket number SCBA 17-47, ATR Transmission, 1910 Noel Avenue, Noel. It's the holiday season, Noel. Appearance approval of a wall sign. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Dorban, second by Commissioner Creech. Mr. Secretary.
Commissioner Dorban.
Yes.
Commissioner Creech.
Yes.
Commissioner Bonova.
Yes.
Commissioner Powers votes yes, and Chairman Rafato.
Yes.
What about Grandma Rosie?
Trying to set the timer. Jeepers. Okay, now I can go to items review, right?
Yes.
Thank you. Docket number PC 17-20, Allstate, 100 East Palatine Road, minor site plan and appearance approval of a canopy. Brooke, anything?
I have nothing.
As a petitioner here, that would be you guys. Please come forward. The floor is yours. If you could, I assume you're both going to speak, so when you come up to speak, speak into the microphone and give your name clearly and your business address. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Jeff Schrader. I'm a senior manager architect with Allstate in the construction department. Work at Northbrook, 3075 Sanders Road. And our current building, Tech Core was what we call it in Wheeling, is a training facility for Allstate. And we bring our agents in by a bus and they load in through this entrance. And it's been a concern over the years to provide them some type of weather protection. So we've pursued that, and that's why we're here tonight. It's SCHROEDER. Jeffrey?
Hi, I'm Don Buccolo. I'm from Chesterfield Awning. We are the awning company that's going to be doing the work at the Allstate facility.
Could you spell your last name?
Sure, it's BOEKELOO.
Okay. So if you could describe what you're doing here and the materials and everything, that would be great.
Okay, so what we're doing is we're building a aluminum welded frame structure that's going to have a vinyl fabric stretched on it. There's going to be 2-inch posts used at the shed frame. Once it turns into the gable where it leaves the building, we're going to be using 3-inch posts. All the drawings have been submitted to Brooke as far as the sizes and the drawings of where it's going to be on the building.
And Brooke, you have a,
I have a sample that was provided from the petitioner.
I also have a book if needed, a brochure from that company that makes that fabric as well, and material data sheets as well.
The data sheets have been provided to the fire department for review.
It's not quite Allstate blue, but I think it'll work.
anything else to add, gentlemen? Great. Okay, thank you. We'll start with Commissioner Blanova.
I don't have any questions at this time.
Okay, great, thank you. Commissioner Powers.
Quick question. You said it was like welded aluminum, the frame?
Yes.
What about what kind of material is the post, just for my,
It'll be 2-inch square.
If you could just speak into the
It'll
microphone.
be 2-inch square aluminum as well.
okay.
We have precast fittings that will be drilled into the sidewalk and anchored with 3/8 lag shields and anchor bolts.
Okay, and I assume the material is sturdy or else you wouldn't be using it, right?
That's correct.
Okay, I have nothing further, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Dorvan.
I have nothing, thank you.
Commissioner Creech.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 2 questions. First of all, is sprinkling going to be required on this canopy?
There was a memo provided by the fire department, and it indicates that fire sprinkling is required.
So you're aware that this is going to have to be sprinkled?
No, neither one of us were. We've been doing awnings, outside exterior awnings for a long time, and we have never come across where an outdoor canopy would require a sprinkler.
It's our code.
And it's not up for debate.
Right, yeah, it's
So-
fire, it's code, and it was in it was in the staff report that you should have received. And it's actually in the fire department memo that said that all construction of proposed canopy for this project would need to comply with the village building and fire prevention codes, including fire sprinkler protection. This review is not a complete review of the building code for compliance, so it's not complete. And then as a condition, The construction of the canopy shall comply with the village's building and fire prevention code, which includes fire sprinkler protection. It's in there. Did you have another question, Commissioner?
I did. My other question, I see that in the application of the canopy that you are going to be attaching right below the existing lighting on the exterior of the building, and I was wondering if you were going to provide any lighting underneath the canopy.
I have been working with Jeff and their maintenance person. They are going to move those lights below the canopy to light the walkway, so that shouldn't be an issue.
Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. I don't have anything. I mean, this is a pretty simple application here. So I have nothing. And we have the one condition. That the construction of the canopy shall comply with the village's building and fire code prevention codes, which include fire sprinkler protection. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Powers, second by Commissioner Dorban. Mr. Secretary?
Commissioner Powers votes yes. Commissioner Dorban?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova?
Yes.
Commissioner Creech?
Yes.
And Chairman Rufato.
Yes. That is it. Any questions about the fire code? Who would they contact you?
Ron Antor, the
Ron.
fire inspector.
Right.
Can you please send me an email regarding that, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
You'll have something to sign? No. Oh, there it is. If you could, one of you can come here and sign these 2 pages, right there and there. And one of those is yours and one of them is ours. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Boy. Docket number 2017-16. I would like to entertain a motion to continue to January 11th, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Creech, second by Commissioner Powers. Mr. Secretary.
Commissioner Creech?
Yes.
Commissioner Powers votes yes. Commissioner Blanova?
Yes.
Commissioner Dorban?
Yes.
And Chairman Rufato.
Yes. Docket number 2017-17, Starbucks. Lot 2, Building A of the Wheeling Town Center Subdivision. Address to be determined, special use site plan approval for a drive-through restaurant. I would like to entertain a motion to continue to January 11th, 2018.
So moved.
Second by, motion by Commissioner Dorban, second by Commissioner Blanova. Mr. Secretary.
Commissioner Dorban?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova?
Yes.
Commissioner Creech?
Yes.
Commissioner Powers votes yes. And Chairman Rufato.
Yes. And on docket number PC 17-19, Wheeling Town Center, various lots within the Wheeling Town Center subdivision. Addresses to be determined, site plan and appearance approval of building and site modifications. I would like to have somebody entertain a motion to table this request. Fair motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Powers, second by Commissioner Blanova. Mr. Secretary.
Commissioner Powers votes yes. Commissioner Blanova?
Yes.
Commissioner Creech?
Yes.
Commissioner Dorban?
Yes.
Chairman Rufato.
Yes.
Okay.
Approval of minutes, November 16th, 2017. Including facts and findings. Is that the one I gave you on the change that we saw? Yes. So there was a change that was noticed that it mentioned Ames was going to be a cannabis dispensary, and that will be changed. With those changes, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Powers, second by Commissioner Creech. Mr. Secretary?
Commissioner Powers vote yes. Commissioner Creech?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova?
Yes.
Commissioner Dorban?
Yes.
And Chairman Rufato?
Yes. Number 9, other business. Brooke? Mallory? Anybody?
Sure. In light of the recent Plan Commission training workshop, we did talk about the use of conditions and recommendations, and Mallory and I are working on coming up with guidelines for how those should be used and how it could be addressed more properly and in line with what we learned at the Plan Commission workshop last week.
So we're not, I think there was a concern that the conditions would be completely eliminated.
No.
No.
Right, okay, and
Part
that's
of it
good.
is a clarification that the training focused a lot on special use approvals and variations and
Okay.
not site plan, which is a unique thing, not unique, but it's not every municipality has.
Mallory, could you?
Sorry, has the Plan Commission approved site plans. A lot of your conditions relate to that, so it'll be clarification on the different types of conditions and the different types of approvals. And
Okay.
then when a recommendation would be appropriate.
Okay,
But we're working on that, and we'll come to you guys probably either at the next meeting or in January with better guidelines on that. And in the meantime, we'll work through it together.
exactly, because I think as our lone speaker tonight, Mr. Steinle, spoke about, the conditions that we've put in things have made it easier for our petitioners to move forward on projects, and we don't want to stop that. So, and I think that's the intent of what we want to do, so, good, okay. All right, excellent. Anything else?
I have one more thing. In 2 weeks.
If you could lower your.
Sure. In 2 weeks, on December 21st, that will be the final Plan Commission meeting of the year. I will provide the Plan Commission a draft calendar for the 2018 year. The plan is to move back to the regular scheduled second and fourth Thursday of the month for Plan Commission. So you can rest assured you will be back to that schedule in January and for the remainder of the year until the next 2018 holiday season. But you will receive that next time in your packet.
And we have to approve that, correct?
That's right.
Great, thank you very much. Anything else?
No.
Right. Commissioner Blanova? Nothing? Commissioner Powers?
I have nothing, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Dorban?
I have nothing, thank you.
Commissioner Creech?
I have nothing, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
And just to echo what Mr. Steinle said about the Lollipop Lane, I've lived in Wheeling for 40 years, and I took my grandchildren there, 2 of my grandchildren this past weekend, and it was the first time I'd ever been there. Even none of my kids ever liked sitting on Santa's lap. They were always afraid, so it didn't make sense to go. And I have to tell you, it was a wonderful setting, and the Historical Society does a wonderful job. They do a great job, very inviting. They're not pushing anybody out. They take their time with every child, and every child gets a gift, and it's a wonderful experience. So if you have an opportunity, as Mr. Steinle said, please go. It's only a couple of days. They only do it for a week, and it's a wonderful experience. So, and with that said, if we have no other business, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That was Commissioner Dorban, second by Commissioner Blanova.